Well, we were here in Nashville, Tennessee. We came to the Glock Store. There's an interesting story behind this place right here. The owner, he was in California. He was living in San Diego, working, building his business, when all of a sudden he said it was too much. The taxes, the government, it was just bad as to how they were treating businesses. So he picked up shop and he moved here to Nashville, Tennessee. I went inside and talked to him about his experience and what he had to say about what's happening here and why so many people are moving here.
Well, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and that was in Pennsylvania for 18 years. When I was then I graduated high school and went to a year college, and really was disillusioned with college. So I left. I had a girlfriend, and we moved to. She moved to California, and so I followed her out there, and was in California, ran around, did a whole bunch of little things, and eventually got involved in advertising sales. And was in radio sales, and eventually got into television sales, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I was producing TV commercials for customers, and one of my customers had an indoor shooting range, and I produced a TV commercial for him, and it was very successful, and he and I got to be buddies because I did a bunch of different work for him, and then he introduced me to a gentleman named John Bianchi. John Bianchi ran and owned Bianchi Gun Leather, which was a really big company at that time. They were supplying a lot of holsters all around the country, and leather holsters. And he had a pistol tournament in Missouri. And so he wanted to put the pistol tournament on TV. And at that time, I was working for Cox Cable. They had just started a TV station basically around their cable network, and ESPN was just starting, and CNN was just starting, and all that stuff was there. And so I knew that I could buy a half hour on ESPN for $10,000. For the entire network, which at that time was about 25 million households.
Not bad.
Yeah, so I bought the $10,000 half hour, and I went out and shot the videotape of the Bianchi Cup pistol tournament in Missouri. I put it on TV. It ran on ESPN for 15 years. And in that time, I kind of got involved in the gun business. I started being the gun video guy. I was really one of the only people. This is way back before cell phones, before anybody really had a camera. And TV stations were just transitioning from film to video. So the video camera thing was really new, and it was kind of interesting. So we were out there and we're videotaping this, and people would say, "What are you doing?" "Oh my gosh, it's like, I've never seen myself on video." And VHS and Beta were still there, right? And so we produced a half-hour TV show, and then I did a 60-minute long-form version. Interviewed all the best shooters and how they do it and all that. And then I started selling VHS tapes on shooting. And as the years progressed, I ended up having about 350 programs on shooting. I did videos for the NRA and for all the major gun manufacturers. And we had a business called Gun Video. Okay. And one year I did a video on Glock. And the new Glock, it was brand new in 1987, 88, and so people were like, "Oh, this is a plastic gun. What are we going to do with that? Oh my gosh!" And so, but it was very popular, as people knew, because it was inexpensive and it was lightweight, and people were interested in it. And so I did a video on how to take apart and put it back together, disassembly, reassembly. Sold thousands and thousands of copies. It was a big deal. It was like, wow, this is a big hit, for me. 10,000 copies was a single, but 50, 60,000 copies was a home run, So I sold a lot of copies of that, and I thought, well, let me do another Glock video. So I did one on how to install pieces and parts for aftermarket performance, to improve it a little bit. And I sold a bunch of those. But what was interesting is that people started calling up and say, "Hey, can I buy that piece that I saw in your video?" And of course I said yes, because I knew where to get it, because the guys had sent us. And so we started reselling pieces and parts. And then, I had a lot of affiliation with, a lot of gun people, because I'd done videos with all these people. Yeah, so I knew who was doing what, and I knew Bill Wilson really well, who has Wilson Combat. He's been super successful. And he was making pieces and parts for 1911 guns. So I thought, you know what, I could make pieces and parts for a Glock. And so we started selling some of the pieces and parts that we were buying, and then we started making some. And one thing led to another, where all of a sudden we were making more pieces and parts than we were selling videos. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, the writing's on the wall. Here came YouTube. Okay, YouTube was starting to come into the play, and we realized that the VHS DVD market was going to fall because everything's free on YouTube. And so we really kind of pivoted at that point to be full into manufacturing pieces and parts, selling pieces and parts for Glock handguns. And then I think in about 1997, we started actually selling the guns. 1990, no, maybe even I was 2007. I think we started actually selling guns, and that's when I got my FFL, and we opened up a shop. We really didn't intend to have a retail store. What happened is we were in San Diego. Yeah. And we had this little small warehouse that we were just building up, and people started coming in and saying, "Hey, can I buy this?" And we weren't really set up for retail sales. We had a credit card machine, but we weren't really set up. We didn't have a counter. It was just like an office, And so they'd come to the lobby and they'd say, "Can I buy this part?" And so we started pulling parts out of the warehouse, and I realized, okay, yeah, I should open a store. So I opened a store, literally, that was as big as this room, maybe, and it had a shoot room too. So it was cut in half. So the shoot room was half of this, and then it was almost like just a storefront where you came in and we ran back and got a part for you, and it was super successful, lots of people, lots of activity, and so we decided, okay, we'll buy another building. We bought a bigger building in San Diego. We went from 15,000 square feet to about 40,000 square feet, and opened up a bigger store with bigger shoot rooms, and they were super successful. And then we decided that California was unsustainable to run a business of any size. As soon as you get over 50 employees, you become a target. When you have 50 employees, you kind of become a target to California. They start to really zero in on you, and your HR laws, and the just the permitting and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Is the licensing just out of control in California with the hoops that you have to jump through?
Yeah, you can get licensed. It's just the hoops and the payment and the fees, that they want, over and over again, and every year you have to renew, and every year you have to pay more, and it's just crazy. So we decided, really, my wife, kind of had this premonition about COVID even, in about 2016, she started saying, we should start thinking about getting out of California. And the other driving factor was, of course, taxes. We're paying huge amount of personal income tax as well as business tax, and even personal property tax. So you buy furniture for the office, you buy equipment for the office, and you pay tax when you buy it, right? Well, California wants you to pay tax to own it every year. Every year. Every year you got to total up all the stuff you have, and they say, okay, well, you owe us X amount of dollars. It's crazy.
Every year.
Every year. Yeah, it's a personal property tax.
So you would think a state would want to support, especially small business owners, to have more of them.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. And that's the point. That's why a lot of people are moving, because all these things add up. It's like you pay your state tax. Okay, I get it. It's heavy in California. It's 10 or 13% depending upon your income, but that's a big number. And so okay, I get it. Income tax, but property tax on not real estate, but things you already own and you've already paid tax to buy, sales tax to buy.
Like a chair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They want you to. Okay. What's the property inside the business, and we're going to go ahead now, and we're going to send you a bill for it.
And not just a one-time charge. You're paying on that.
Well, you paid every year.
Every year. That's what I mean.
Every year they would have an assessment.
I don't think people know that.
Yeah, and that's crazy, and that's why a lot of business owners are moving out, because it is unsustainable. At some point, it's just unsustainable, and the employee taxes are higher. Everything's just higher there, and it's crazy.
Wow, so it's not really politics; it's why people are moving. And I talk to many people; they're moving not because of a political person, but because of the bottom line, really, and how it impacts their life. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great state in so many ways. We had a great house, we had a great neighborhood, we were close to the ocean. I wasn't a big surfer or anything like that, but it was nice to be there and be close to it. The sun did shine a lot, I will be honest. I mean, there was one thing, and we had fruit trees in our yard. Oh, this is beautiful. It got a little crowded, I will say, from when I first moved out there. I moved out there in '76, and just like everything else, even this town is getting crowded now, but it really grew up. But
what's so great about here? I'm hearing so many good things, and it is getting crowded because people in Michigan, a lot of you watching, they're moving here. Yeah. What attracted you, and what continues to attract people to Tennessee?
Well, there's a couple things that were driving factors for us. We looked around all around the country. So my wife, like I said, in 2016 had this premonition that we should think about moving. The taxes are getting big, and she just said something doesn't feel right. She kept saying that, and so we started looking. We looked in Texas, we looked in Atlanta, because my wife's from Georgia, and then we looked in Arizona, we looked in Nevada, all tax-free states. Yeah. We looked in Idaho a little bit, and when it came down to it. Nashville had a couple things going for them. One, for our business, because we ship 1,000+ packages a day, the geographic location of Nashville is very unique. In that, and this is the statistic that Nissan did when they moved here, is that 80% of the population of the United States, and this is kind of a crazy number, right, can drive to Nashville within one day. Or the other way around, you can drive to just about everywhere you want in one day. Now, California and Denver and all the West Coast is a different animal, but you can get to Texas in one day. You can get to Maine in one day, basically 24 hours. Okay, yeah, Chicago is like 10 hours, maybe not even, probably less. So there's some really good advantages to the shipping. Now, it's no secret that FedEx has their hub in Memphis because it's centrally located. So Nashville has that going for it. There's freeways flying all over the place. There's right just out here, there's 40 and 65 and 24, all these major interstates. Yeah.
It seems like the political environment. I know I'm in Michigan. A lot of you in Michigan aren't happy with Michigan, but it seems welcoming here in Tennessee. Is that not the political, but the legislative, the hoops? They make it where businesses want to come here.
Well, it's funny you say that because we kind of came, not early, but we were certainly, we weren't late to the party. How's that? The party's still going on, right? People are still moving and all that. But we came and we made an announcement we're moving in 2018. We bought the building in 2018. Had to do a bunch of work to it. This is all brand new, all the stuff you see inside here. And the governor, sent us a letter. There was a press release that the governor released that, Glock Store is moving.
They put out.
Yeah, they did all this stuff. And then, on top of all that, they gave us a grant based upon how many people we hired that we would get money back from the state, which is unbelievable. And literally over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, it's added up to be a significant number of dollars. Like almost $80,000 that the state has given us. Now, I'm a small guy, when you compare like Ford and all these other guys and what kind of incentives they're getting, millions of dollars to move here. So there's a lot of, I guess the legislation is very pro-business and they're looking for people to.
A lot of people have misconceptions about weapons. I asked Lenny about that and what people need to know when it comes to firearms.
I grew up around guns.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with guns. And so, I think today there's a stigma to gun ownership. It's like, used to be, you're crazy camo guys, owning guns and all that stuff. For whatever reason, that's not true. To be honest, it's really, you look out there, like I said, in the shop, we have doctors and lawyers and business owners and such, who have guns for a specific reason. They don't hunt. Okay, it's about self-defense, and until the people really understand what this is all about, it's about self-defense not only from bad guys, but from tyrannical governments who at some point want to impose their will upon us that we don't understand why. But no, I'm not going to take that vaccine. No, I'm not going to go be quarantined or all this bullshit that they try to pull on us. So in reality, the gun ownership concept, they're trying to make it a bad thing because they don't want us to have guns because they don't want us to be able to fight back.
Yeah, it's a right. It's
well, okay. So when people talk about that, think about what the intent of the Second Amendment was. Had nothing about hunting.
No,
it was really about being able to defend yourself against a tyrannical government. And that's what they knew that because they came from one.
Exactly.
And now here we are, 250 years later, and we're kind of back in the same boat. We got this government, who's overriding and overreaching and telling us all these things we have to do and spraying us with chemicals and doing all kinds of crazy things. And and now here we are, saying no. We're done with it, and you can't tell us that we have to take it.
And the bad guys, this is a big deal in Michigan. I worked in Flint, Michigan, very dangerous communities. The bad guys don't give a damn. The bad guys don't care. They're going to get their gun. They're not going to follow any laws.
Oh, of course. Well, they're criminals. Criminals are criminals, and so they're going to do what they have to do. So we have to even the playing field, and I believe here in Tennessee, they've just passed constitutional carry, and I believe you'll see there's less crime. Because all of a sudden the bad guys don't know who has a gun.
Yeah. Any advice, real quick, because I know we're got to let you go. Any advice for someone who is thinking, I want to get a gun? And I don't know if this is a question for you, possibly. What steps does someone go to? Like myself, you were interested in getting a weapon. What are they need to do? Some research, or they could, if they live in Tennessee, they could come here, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, of course you can come buy a gun from us, but I think the main thing is, it's a power tool just like anything else. You got to learn how to use it. You got to learn how to operate it. You got to learn to be safety. So if you went down to the Home Depot and bought a circular saw and know nothing about it, it'd probably be pretty dangerous for you to start firing that thing up and just trying to cut stuff. So the same is true with a firearm. You need to be trained. You need to understand the operation and controls of the gun, and you need to understand the local laws on how you can manage and carry and store, and then you need practice, just like anything else. You got to actually practice and become proficient with it.
Just one of many business owners who left California to come here to beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. That was an amazing business, amazing place. It was a great tour that we got there. If you're interested to learn more about his business, I'm going to have a link in this video so you can learn more. I want to ask, are any of you interested in possibly moving here to Tennessee? And why? Why are you leaving Michigan? Why are you leaving California? Why are you leaving those states?